Hello and welcome to the Transform Your Relationship Show. I'm Laura Rubenstein here with Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. Hi, Rhoberta.
Hello, Laura. We're back. We've been off the air for a month. Now here we are, back and in great shape.
And ready to rock and roll with a great topic today. All about Feng Shui, getting in alignment, using it to get clear, to move forward and get in the flow. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, me too. It is. Yeah, people like to talk and make drama about the obstacles to the flow. If we just spend as much time getting into the flow as we do talking about the obstacles to being in the flow, we'd be in much better shape.
And, Feng Shui is kind of like this mysterious topic in a way. It has this ancient name, and people think of it as this really complex, mysterious way of being, and or this pseudoscience, or who knows what they're thinking. But I think we should demystify what we mean by Feng Shui. How do you define it?
The words of a physicist, his name is Barris, escaping me, but he said that Feng Shui is the intelligent use of metaphor in the environment. And I love that because it doesn't matter whether it's black hat Feng Shui or it's ancient Feng Shui that you have to have all the appropriate directions and all of that, and every latitude and longitude and all of that. It doesn't matter, because if we just think of it as the intelligent use of metaphor, it means that we're bringing consciousness to our home, where we place things. We've thought about it. We've thought about our relationship. We've thought about our prosperity. We've thought about our family. We've thought about our career. We've thought about our health. There are nine things on the Bagua, which is, of course, the mystic. The Bagua being that eight-sided figure. But it's just simply bringing consciousness to our environment, to purposefully put things in places that have meaning to us, that we've thought through, not just say, oh, that looks pretty alone, but that, okay, maybe I could take it to another level. I just closed my office. It's all done tomorrow. And people used to come into my consulting room, and it had been carefully feng shuied because I used to teach feng shui. And they wouldn't have a clue what happened, but they would walk in and say, oh, it's so peaceful in here. That's what we're talking about.
I love that, way of describing it. It's like that awe feeling of coming into a place and feeling whatever it is you feel. And before I learned about Feng Shui, and not that I've studied it to any big extent, I read a book on it, I've had some consultations with you and other people, but, I've probably had 3 different consultations in my lifetime here, and there were 3 phases of my life. And like you said, it's bringing that intentionality to it. And I think that's like the first place to start is, what is that feeling you want people to feel when they walk into your space? Then we have to say, okay, well, what are the best practices to bring that in? To me, it has felt like magic, or like you had to have some sort of gift or talent to be able to create a space of whatever, like, well, how do I create that? And I certainly would like to think I'm creative enough to do it, but I don't actually have that. I have to actually say this is a limitation of mine. It's like, okay, well, I need help. I need to learn. It's not like naturally, oh, I just know what goes where to make it feel right. And I think some of the guiding principles that I learned in the Feng Shui books, that Feng Shui teachers have taught and consultants have taught me, have really helped. So should we mention a few of those?
Well, we certainly can, it's like your home. When you walk in the front door and you look to your right, immediately you walk in the front door. That's the area of spirituality. And so when you look to the left, and that's that's an example of what's going on. When you go immediately in your door on the right, that's the area of helpful people and travel. And so you just think about those things. You know, if you're going to place something in your home, I'm talking about the entire home that you have, not the room. If you're going to place something and you're going to think, okay, how could I draw energy? Because it's all about energy. How could I draw energy to travel or to bringing more people in my life that would be helpful to me in many ways? What could I do in that area? So we just brought the intentionality of it. Like, how many people sit down and think, how could I draw somebody into my life to help me? Or how could I travel more? Well, I mean, certainly you could win the lotto or something, but how about just having a few moments to think about, well, where would I like to travel? How would I like to travel? Why would I like to travel there? And then consciously place an object. For example, the color of that area of helpful people and travel is gray or silver. So you might put something gray or silver in that area to activate that energy. Now, if you don't believe in energy at all, just go with the flow, you know, like, okay, gray's supposed to work, let me put it there. But, you know, it's important things to notice, because if you go to the back corner of your home, that's the area of relationships on the right. And the back corner on the left is the area of prosperity. So you want to activate those places if you enjoy the metaphor of intentionality. And Feng Shui, yes, it's an ancient things, and many people have many Asian people have very strong opinions about it. You know, if you ever watch House Hunters, I was watching that one day, and the woman would not have a house where the stove didn't face the right way, and it didn't matter what, she was not having that house, because she had very strong feelings about Feng Shui. But how about having those strong feelings about creating your life? That, you know, so that's why I was happy we put in the title for today, Going with the Flow, because we need to create flow and then go with the flow, and doing something that allows us to stop and be introspective and become really aware of some interesting questions, which is what Feng Shui will help you do, is a way to develop that consciousness. So if you want to get into the flow, why not make your home in the flow, or your office in the flow, or even your desktop in the flow?
And what I'm hearing out of all that, what has always helped getting in the flow is letting go of stuff and clutter. I mean, like, that seems to be an essential and core principle of not only Feng Shui, but decluttering. Anybody who's coached anybody is like, what's stuck in your physical environment? Take a look at your physical environment. And I love how you said that Feng Shui is a metaphor. It can be used as a metaphor for what you want. You know, like, so how is your physical environment reflecting what you want? It's a great place to start. Using it to get clear, you know, like, okay, well, what do I have in my life, and how is my, you know, maybe even take a little personal benchmarking analysis here, or where the state of the affairs right now, currently, what does my physical space look like? And how is that reflecting my personal life and where I'm stuck or where I am in the flow? And then where can I change physically, and bringing that intention for bringing flow into that area of my life. And I love, like, we have this bagua, a little map of your home, you know, to the left is spirituality, to the right is helpful people and travel, and the back on the right is relationships, on the left is prosperity. So then go to those areas and look at them and say, okay, what do I want to create for that, and how can this room reflect that? And then, of course, you have the map of the colors that go with it, and these are stuff you can easily look up online. The Feng Shui Bagua, Bagwa, is that how you?
No, UA.
UA.
UA. And there are 9 areas of life to look at in the Bagua. But it's a great thing to do. It's a great thing to take yourself through, or to even have someone take you through it, because it changes your life. And a word about the decluttering. Yeah. I mean, you want your house to be beautiful and functional and supportive. And it's not supportive if you're falling over things, you sit down and go, oh, I don't like what's on the walls, or things are broken. You when you're talking, as you said, about a metaphor for your life, and having a look at things. How many broken things do you have in the house? How many things that squeak or don't work right or are not in the flow themselves? And what are you doing about that? Because every time you go to the tap that leaks and you say, oh, I hate the fact that the tap leaks, that's an energy leak for you. Instead of fixing it, having it fixed and having no more energy leak, no more thought about that, you're just not supporting yourself by having something that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And
And taking a look at what is okay to let go and why you're holding on to things. I read a book that is all about it was about letting go and what Feng Shui has to say about that and why we keep things. And there's like 3 or 4 reasons why, and mine is like just in case. I might need it just in case. And then I had a professional organizer I worked with one time, and she goes, "If this piece of paper you have in your hand, Laura, can be found online, you can let it go." Like, okay. That
it's
was
mine,
helpful.
it's mine.
Yeah, that was helpful. Doesn't help when I have like a big bag of safety pins and I'm like, I need this just in case, you know? And she's like, no, you can throw that out, you know? My husband's a minimalist. He's like, if you're not going to use it in the next year, then throw it out and we can buy something, you know, when you need it. And I'm like,
If
ah,
you
it
need
seems so wasteful to have to buy it if I already have it and I'm going to need it in 5 years.
Yeah, well, I think the time limit in that case has something to do with it. If I'm going to need it in 5 years, maybe not so much, but I'm going to need it in the next 6 months to a year, and I know I'm going to need it. There's very little point in buying it again unless you have no storage,
Right,
right?
right.
I mean,
And
I just something moving my office home. I had 2 bookshelves left over, and I recently had taken bookshelves out of the breezeway between my home and the shed, and I loved the look of nothing there. But now there's 2 bookshelves there again, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to be really conscious of placing them there, and that only things that I approve of, not just any old thing because there's available shelf space, only things I want in my environment go on them. Now I'll probably sell them because that's why I brought them home, but it was just that moment like, okay, I like the visual silence. We need visual silence in our homes. And sometimes we get really caught up with, well, what can I put in that place and that place and that place? And we have no visual silence. So we can't actually breathe in our environment.
mm,
And so it's important, I think, to have visual silence in some ways. Some people need more than others. I'm just bringing it up as something to consider. There's no right or wrong about it. But, you know, when you look at an empty wall space, is it is it begging you to put something on it? Maybe. Or maybe you look at it and instead of seeing it as a deficit, you go, oh, I kind of like that.
offers space and it offers peace. There's so much we have a blank canvas from which to create. I have a blank wall right here, so I know what you're talking about. And I've been like, well, should I put stuff up? It looked really pretty. So far, not so much yet. Just want to remind people where they can find us after this time. You can find Rhoberta at forrelationshiphelp.com. So if you want to get more information on getting into the flow, relieving yourself of stressful situations, or not even
And
relieving
people,
and people, this is especially relationship, we are all about relationships. And I think today's topic is really important because we're talking about our space and our relationship with ourselves. So you know, which makes us better in relationship with others when we can improve our own environment inside and out. And for me, you can reach me at transformtoday.com, and I've got all sorts of goodies for you there. So we wanted to make sure you knew how to get a hold of us. And so when we think of decluttering, when we think of feng shui alignment, all right, we're going to take things away. I love this idea. Easier said than done, as we were pointing out, because we're attached. I have this just in case, or I might need it sometime, or it's got sentimental value, some of that. People are like, oh, I
Oh,
can't get
it's so
rid of.
good and it was so expensive.
Oh, yeah, I paid a lot of money for that. um, and then revisiting it with fresh eyes and saying, is it really serving? And what is it serving? Is it serving the highest and best intention for life? I think is another thing. I have had to let go of a lot of gifts that people have given me. They're beautiful. They're not me, or they're not my space anymore. And I felt totally guilty, like I'm dissing somebody for doing that. So help.
Yeah, it's a very important thing, to when somebody gives you a gift, that gift has to come with no strings. That I want to give you this, and that's the honoring, that's the respecting, that's the generosity, that's the joy. And what you do with it after that is entirely up to you because it's yours. So you had the relational component when you received the gift, no matter what the gift was, whether you liked it or you didn't like it. Somebody wanted to give you something, so you had that intentionality of receiving. Some people, you've been to things where people open gifts and you can watch their faces, and some of them are very forced and they like everything, and you know darn well they didn't. And others are quite judgmental, or they'll just say something, or they'll put something to the side. It's if we can get in the habit of receiving beautifully, then that's the energy exchange with another human being. It's not, oh, well, nice, that was really nice, and in your head going, wonder how much that cost, and then, who can I give this to? I mean, that's not a good thing to do. Like, I like to give gifts I've really thought about. Other people give gifts from obligation. So let me grab something that seems the appropriate dollar value that will look good enough, and I did it. So when we're on the receiving end of gifts, it's very, very important to just acknowledge that beautiful exchange, whether you like the thing or you don't like the thing, but somebody wanted to give you something, and then it's received into your home, and you decide whether it fits, right? Whether it's something that you would enjoy. I love wind chimes, so I gave you a wind chime. You had a new house, and I thought, oh, maybe a wind chime would be the perfect thing for the feng shui to capture that movement. But you might hate wind chimes. Like, I've got a neighbor who has wind chimes, and she buys the ones that are made of wood, and they clunk and click and do all kinds of things. I don't enjoy that. If someone gave me that, I wouldn't enjoy that, so I wouldn't put it up. So, it's this intentionality. It's being clear. And so many times we're not. We're running as fast as we can, and we don't stop and think and receive and be in the present. And we can't go with the flow if we're not in the present. If we're all about the past, or we're way down the road, and what can I create, and how can I do it, and what if it doesn't work out, and all of that, we can't be in the flow, because the flow is now. You and I have been in a mastermind for years, and I always say about my marketing plan, I work on the GMP. And when when I first said that to the group, the question was, what is that? And I say, well, I work on God's marketing plan. I do my thing. It attracts people. I do my best, and I let it go. I'm not like, how can I, and how many people are on the list, and how do I do all of that? Because that energy doesn't suit me. Now, there are other people that suits really, really well, and they want to dive into all that. So we're not all the same, and that's a good thing. But if you want to be in the flow, what I've found is you have to let go. You can't be in the flow without letting go. And whether that's letting go of stuff, or letting go of a grudge, or letting go of a regret, or whatever it is, let it go, and you have the potential to be in the flow.
Yeah, I like it.
I like
Let
it.
go and
Let go
get in the
and get
flow.
in the flow.
Yeah, because it makes sense. I mean, the flow is moving, and if you're like, it's got to be here, you're stuck. So let's lighten up.
In more ways than one, lighten up. So lighten up from our attitudes to our how heavy how much of stuff we have, and then get into, okay, so we've let go. Like that's really, I think that opens us up into the flow, and then how do we be more intentional in that flow? Is kind of the art. It's a dance, and it's that GMP you're talking about, to say, okay, well now we're riding the wave, but can we direct it in some way? Can we intend it, or
Yeah.
what do you think?
Well, you can have, what did they say? God laughs when you make plans. But but you do your best. You listen, and you're thoughtful, and you put it there, and you see if it floats. Like I give it my best, and I see if it floats, and if it sinks, okay, that's a pretty clear sign that I better have another shot, or I better listen a little better, or I better get a little clearer. Now, I just want to say about the Bagua, just so that people understand it. In the Western Feng Shui, they make it into a square with 9 small squares. And there's no accident that they're placed exactly where they are. The center square, if we go with the Western, is health. And that's because it touches all the other 8 areas. And so that's what you create is health, because all those things have to be in connection and intention. And then from corner to corner has to be in balance, and corner to corner and side to side, and they all are. It's really quite wonderful when you look at it as a metaphor for your life. And so there's an area of creativity, there's an area of family, there's an area of tradition, prosperity, relationships, career, um, helpful people, and spirituality, which we spoke about. Well, what if all of those things in your life had been thought through? Where am I right now? Not where I have ever been, but where am I right now? And then express that. That's why when we do feng shui, it's evolving all the time. So you do the home or the room or your desktop or whatever you're doing, and then you know that you're going to go back and revisit it. Maybe you have an obstacle, maybe something just is stuck in your life, and so you go and you make a conscious decision to do something and helpful people. I need some help. And you say, okay, I recognize this metaphor. And it's a delightful thing to do. But remember, we're talking about energy. And any of us are as a vibrating sack of molecules, which is all about energy. So we can't really refute the fact that we are energy walking, and everything else is energy, either slow moving energy, which appears to be a solid, or very fast moving energy, which appears to be a vapor. And here we are transforming all the time. I mean, every cell in our body changes every 7 years, and the majority of the cells in our body change every year. And some of them every 20 days, some of them every 7 days. So imagine if you change your mind and you take a different view, and the new cells are being informed in a different way because you have a different attitude or a different way of thinking. You're constantly keeping up with yourself. But if you keep going like, oh, well, my mother told me that the world worked like this, and you keep recreating that on a cellular level, you'll keep experiencing that on a cellular level, rather than saying, no, it's now. What's now? Let me be present. And that you've heard lots of things, as I have heard. Every one of us has heard that. You live for today. Well, that's not a hedonistic creed. That's not, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you die. It's like, be fully present today. This is the day you have, and it's, even if you're ill, you can say to yourself, okay, this is a good moment, it's a good minute, it's a good hour. You can focus on being here and being present and what's good about it, not to deny that you may have pain or discomfort or fear or grief or whatever you might be experiencing, but to know that you have that kind of power, that you can simply say, I choose what I focus on. In fact, I wrote a book called What You Pay Attention to Expands. I wrote it in 2002, long before people were talking about the law of attraction and all that kind of thing. And it's really accurate, because just think, you wake up in the middle of the night, you start worrying about something, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You start to tell a story over and over again. All of a sudden, that's all you're thinking of. Well, is it good for your body? Not good for your body. Is it restorative and peaceful? Is it upsetting? Is it energizing? Is it inspiring? You have a lot of power in your life. So Feng Shui is just one of those lovely things to play with.
Yeah, it is. And it helps us get out of the mire down thinking that is keeping us down. Like you said, be present in the moment and experience joy in what's so right now. Like that we can take a breath in, that we can use our hands, that we have people in our life who love us. It's like there's so much to be grateful for and so much to embrace passionately right now. And I love the map, the Bagua. I wanted to, just for people who've never seen it, share just a little bit one I found online that just shows you the colors and the placement, those 9 squares. I don't know if this is everybody's map, but this is one I found that looked really easy to look at on a screen. So you can see, all right, well, my back left corner is my wealth, prosperity, love, and marriage, right? Like the right in the center, like you said, is health and unity and balance and centeredness. It's really powerful to have that map and to use it to the way it serves. I don't think it's important to get into the nitty gritty. If it doesn't serve you, if something doesn't serve you, I'd say don't fret over it. It's my personal feng shui philosophy, because I think we each have our own personal feng shui
Yeah, and you
that,
can't be rigid.
yeah,
Just because the Bagua exists doesn't mean that you go, well, I have to do it right. Because there's a whole lot of people who are petrified to make a mistake. And Feng Shui is not anything you have to worry about. But this is a really good choice that you made of these, Laura. Thanks for putting this up, because it helps illustrate what I was saying about the juxtaposition. You see how wealth and prosperity is a kitty corner to helpful people in travel, so that you see that they're related to one another and they travel through health, a healthy balance. And then see how knowledge and self-cultivation and love and marriage and relationships are balancing each other. And then family and creativity and children and fame and career. You see how they're balanced, and that whether you go from corner to corner, or you go in an axis, straight across or straight down, they're so related, and they all contain that, they create that container for help. So it's a great visual to see that. And you also see the energy of interrelatedness, which we all have. There are no disposable moments in our day. Just because you're driving to an important meeting doesn't mean you don't smile at the people in the crosswalk, and it will have meaning to them.
yep, could have impact at every moment. I love that. And it all starts with our own personal intention. And today's topic is about bringing that intention to a structure like feng shui, and being able to support yourself in letting go, decluttering, getting into the flow, and then having what you moving in the direction towards what it is that you want more of or less of in your life.
Yeah, and another thing that we could just add in there, things we've talked about before, is that first of all, you have to have a little chat with yourself about, do you have any limitations that give you a feeling of not deserving what's possible for you in your life? Because you won't entertain this. You'll say, oh, this is just some ancient stupid thing, because you don't believe you deserve it. You don't believe that you you deserve to have it, or that you're meant to have it, or whatever. And that limitation can really be worth thinking through, even when you're looking at your attitude toward feng shui. Like, am I just discarding it because then I feel like I can stay stuck? Or can I entertain it and know that it's not rigid, and it's not a have to, and it's not a should? It's just a delightful way to rethink your connection to the things in your world.
I think that's a brilliant topic, and we can go really deep into it. I say we create a whole show, maybe our next show, on deserving, because
Uh-huh.
there's a lot there on deserving. But I think it all starts with, yeah, first of all, you know, knowing you're worthy, and stepping into this intention of having a life that supports you. So I think that's a great place to end today. I want to remind everybody where to find us, both at Transform Today and for relationshiphelp.com. And so, any last parting words for today's session, Roberta?
Well, I just give a little foreshadowing of deserving, because that's come up, and I think you're right. We could certainly do a lot of talking about that. Um, to honestly believe that you have the right, and you do have the inalienable right, to take up space and breathe on this earth. And that to take it to the next step, which we'll discuss in that program, that you also deserve to be able to speak about yourself only, and what you think, feel, need, and want at any time, as long as you're not talking about other people. You deserve that. That is your right to do that. And many people don't behave from that right. They let other people or their past cut them off from that, and so they can't be here now. And I think it's a great topic, and I look forward to it, Laura.
Me too. We deserve this topic. You deserve this topic. And there's great power in knowing that we deserve things, and to live a life that is feeling blessed and whole and passionate and joyful. So until then, practice your feng shui, and we can't wait to hear. Thank you so much for being with us, and thanks for the likes and the shout outs. We'll be back in 2 weeks for another edition of Transform Your Relationships Live. Bye for now.